my mom said you spent a lot of time there.
I did, yeah, because Henry and Gladys was close to my age, you know, and I spent a lot of time with them.
Could you walk from the Fannin Bend to Greasy Creek?
I used to go home. There was a fellow down there, was actually my grandpa's brother, had the name of, could raise knocking spirits. Did you ever hear of that?
No. What
Never
is that?
heard of knocking spirits?
No.
Well,
which grandpa? Grandpa Reed or?
Grandpa Reed. His brother. I guess Kendall was his, I shouldn't mention his name. Mike could get sued. But that was the talk, huh?
It was Kendall that did the knocking spirits?
Yeah, he could raise them.
Tell me about it.
Well, he could also cure nosebleeds and what they call the thrash.
Yeah.
You know, kids would get that.
Right.
That's by blowing. He would blow in their kid's mouth, and supposed to cure the thrash. I think it was witchcraft. It's my opinion. He lived at this place. It was always dreary and dark looking. And I would stay over to my grandpa's, and I'd have to go past there. And I knew all of the stuff, you know. And I used to be scared to death when I would go past there. In fact, there was a way to kind of dodge it. I'd go that way. And if I'd heard some kind of noise, I would have probably fainted. Well, anyhow, there was a tree there. He sold his house. And he told, see, now I know this for a fact. He told the people that bought it, said not to cut that tree down. There's a big pine tree, big tall pine tree in the yard. Said don't cut it down. Well, what they do, they cut the top out of it. So one time my uncle on my dad's side and his wife, his name was Golden, they were coming by there talking to the people that owned the house. And as they were talking, they could hear this thing a knocking on this tree. It would go up and then it would come down. And Golden said to them, said, what is that? And she said, I don't know. She said, ever since we cut the top out of this tree, said, this has happened. So Golden said, well, I'll tell you what I would do. Golden was kin to us too. Golden said, well, I'll tell you what I would do. I would cut that tree down and I would grub it up by the roots and I would burn it. When she said that, it was never heard no more. And I heard another fellow was talking about seeing that he, is it over?
No.
You want me to go on?
Yeah, I want you to go
Really?
on. Yeah, I love this story.
Oh, come on.
This is great.
Another fellow went there to stay all night with Kendall's, Uncle Kendall's. That was my mom's uncle. Son. And he told them, he says, I want you to come out here and help me get this calf in a pen. Catch this calf. He's wanting to put it someplace. And he said they would try to catch this calf. And it would get away from him every time. I mean, it just looked like there's no way possible. And then Uncle Kendall started laughing. So they figured it was some kind of something there that wasn't there, you know. And also, they talk about that people have seen stuff had 6 legs. Animals had 6 legs there. I mean.
At this same house?
Yeah.
You're talking about.
But they used to be a fellow who'd get, his nose would bleed, and his dad would call him up on the phone. And he would stop this guy's nose from bleeding. Yeah. And So it had to be witchcraft.
Did you know him?
Did I know him?
Kettle?
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
And was he a nice person?
Was
he a nice man?
Yeah, he talked nice. Yeah, he was a kind of a prankster. I know his dad, Bill Reed, which is my great grandpa, was doing fishing in the river, and he had his shoes off, sitting there on the sandbar. And Kendall came along and seen these shoes there, and Kendall had a pair of shoes, the same brand, make, but they were old. So he switched shoes with him. And he left them there, and he got back and watched it, standing there watching him. And when Bill would pick those shoes up, started looking at them, he couldn't believe, I guess, how old they got all of a sudden. I should have wrote a lot of this stuff down,
Well, you could still write it down and send it to me. You could still write it down
I should have wrote it down
for
you.
And what about somebody told me that Grandpa had these white oaks and he wouldn't cut them down. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, he was real fussy about that. The only tree he would cut down is one that had already died. Something green, no way. About the only thing green that he would cut would be a switch. They wouldn't break so easy.
And why was that? Did he just like trees so much, or did he think, was he an environmentalist, an early environmentalist?
He might have been something like a environmentalist back then, something to that effect. He just thought it was destroying. He thought he should grow and get to be a big tree,
Yeah. Now, speaking of this, people that could, heal and stuff like that, what about the herbs and stuff? Do you remember them using herbs?
Herbs?
Or collecting wild stuff to treat
Well,
people
yeah,
who was sick?
he was an herb doctor.
Kennel.
Well, herb, I would call him an herb doctor, but there was an herb doctor down there. He would get his stuff from a lot of times. And he would make up different stuff himself. Different herbs.
To fix ailments and stuff.
Why?
If you were sick or something,
Yeah.
he could give you a...
Right. Yeah, he had... In fact, this kerosene, he always thought, when you got a cold, put some kerosene right here. That, that would help you. And he'd always say, put some of that kerosene there. And I don't know, he'd go in there, I don't know if it helped or not. But he thought it did. And, but he was, he liked the Indian ways, he'd read a lot about what the Indians believed in, their herbs and stuff. He would copy off of them quite a bit. I can't remember the exact herbs that he used, except there's one down there, I don't know if he used it or not, called bone set tea. In other words, it was a weed that you would boil and kind of make a tea off of it, put some sugar in it, and drink that. That was supposed to be good if you had a fever or something. I can still remember how it tasted to this day.
Really?
Yeah, right.
Tastes good or bad?
No, it wasn't all that great. It wasn't real bad, but it wasn't all that great.
Yeah.
And, let's see, I don't know.